friends, welcome back to my channel. This video is going to be my journal recap video for 2020. I've already posted my planner recap video last week, so if you want to check that out, you can see the link below. This video is going to be just about my journals, and my journal journey was a lot more interesting and challenging than my planner journey was. So here are all of the journals that I finished this year. I think this was the order, and then I still have another journal that I'm working on. So here is my journal stack for 2020 so far, and it's really fun to look at. Even if it's just filling up notebooks, it feels good and it feels like I accomplished something. I started the year off with an A6 journal. This was the size that I was using for all of 2019 last year. And I was using this notebook. This is the 7321 notebook, and the paper quality for this one was okay. It wasn't the best for fountain pen inks. There is some bleed through on some of my inks here. Yep, so as far as paper quality, this one's pretty average, but I love the size. I think the size is perfect for journaling. It's portable enough to carry around the house, but still gives me a lot of room to write out my thoughts. And this journal is mostly writing. I remember challenging myself to only do pure writing on this notebook, because before that I was doing a lot of sketching and art journaling, and I just wanted to see if I could fill up a whole notebook with just writing. And I did cheat here and there. I have this little stamp swatch here because I got some new stamps. But for the most part, it is just writing, and it is fun to flip through this notebook. It's like looking through a novel, so that's a lot of fun. And I had this journal in an A6 Cadenetta notebook folio. This was a custom-made folio. This is their A6 Traveler's notebook, and I requested a clasp, and I asked for no strings. That was the other customization I had for this. And I really like this folio. It's not leather, but it's still very soft and squishy. It did pick up some dirt up here and some weird marks here, and I haven't been able to clean them out, and I'm hesitant to use something stronger like acetone because I didn't want to ruin the pale pink color. I really love this color, so I've just set aside this color for now until I can decide on what I want to do with it. So this was my very first journal of the year, and like I said, A6 is my favorite size for journaling, but I moved on to a different size because I had a whole stack of blank notebooks that I hoarded the year before, and so for this year I wanted to make it a point to go through my blank notebook collection. So after this notebook, I moved on to the B6 size. I've always wanted to try the B6 size, and I thought this was the perfect chance to do it. So my next journal was this one. This is the Katie Daisy Floral Notebook. It has really cute artwork on the inside. As you can see, it's so pretty. And then I have another pen test page here. I always do pen tests on the back of my journals, just for fun. And the paper quality for this one is okay. It's not as bad as this notebook, but if you look closely here, there is still some bleed through. But I remember enjoying my time with this journal, and I really did like it. I guess I didn't like the cover very much. I prefer hardbound notebooks in general, so I wasn't too into the cover, but I did think this illustration was very pretty. So I didn't customize the covers like I usually would. I just left this like this. So this was my very first B6 journal. And then my next journal was this one. This was a Kokio Systemic Notebook Refill. It was A5 size, and I cut it down to B6 because I wanted to try this notebook, but I still wanted to try the B6 size as well. So I used a rotary blade and a metal ruler, and then I just cut this down, and it went pretty well. It's not perfect. If you look at the top here on this part, you'll see it's not completely flush, but that's okay. That doesn't really bother me. I rounded out the corners of this journal, and that helped a lot in making it look neater. So here's the cover. I did collage some stickers on top and just some random stickers at the bottom, and I really like this paper. I loved how smooth and crinkly it is. I remember this paper was just so smooth to write on. Here's the pen test on the back. So there is some bleed through though on my my Pelican 4001 turquoise ink. So I guess this paper isn't the best, but I really enjoyed it for the crinkly sound. I really wish I had more of this notebook because I would have loved to keep journaling in this notebook. But again, I was trying to go through my blank notebook stash for this year. After this Kokio notebook, I moved on to my Designworks ink notebook. And I had a whole stash of this notebook because when I bought them, they were all on sale for just a couple of dollars each. I think they were on clearance, so I thought, why not? And I grabbed all of the covers that I liked. So this was the first notebook from them that I filled out. The paper on this one is okay. As you can see, it's lined. Lined paper doesn't really bother me. I remember this paper being a little toothy, so I wasn't a big fan of that. But it handled my favorite ink well, so that's okay. I didn't hate this notebook. I remember just being kind of meh about it. So I filled out this journal, and then I moved on to this one. I really love the colors on this cover. I think this cover is just so gorgeous. And I did collage the inner cover of this one. I made a video on this. And that was so much fun to do, but I never really kept up with collaging. On my next journal, you'll see I just went back to the simple photo and then just the sticker labels here. It was around this time that I fell into a journal rut. I think just using these notebooks weren't very inspiring to me. I got bored of journaling. I felt like it was just eating up my time. I wasn't really enjoying it. I lost my spark for journaling for a little bit. So when I was on this notebook, it was June. And then July came around and I decided to do One Book July. So for One Book July, I decided to do all of my planning and journaling into this one notebook. This is a moleskin blank notebook. And I did decorate the cover. It's nothing too elaborate, but I just enjoy putting some stickers here and there. And so what I did was I would plan out my day on a 2-page spread like this. This one was pretty empty. And then on the next spread, I would journal. So here's one of my favorite spreads. I decided to do some sideways journaling, and I really wanted to try the layering type of art journal. And I really like how it turned out. These are Patreon printables from Mia Vibes. So for the entire month of July, I journaled in this notebook and I had a lot of fun. I used that time to get back into art journaling because for the last handful of notebooks, I was just doing pure writing. I never got back to art journaling after my little challenge here. Just because it was easier for me, I didn't have to pull out any ephemera or materials. I could just write away. That was a lot simpler to me. I think that's also a reason why I got bored of journaling, because all I was doing was writing and I needed to do something more to keep things interesting for me. So for One Book July, I did do some art journaling, as you can see here, and I really enjoyed it. I'm really glad that I did One Book July because it did reignite my joy for journaling, and I was just so much more creative with this journal than how I usually am. So this is a lot of fun to look back on. I totally forgot about this spread. So that was my journal for July, this moleskin notebook. And I did also do a pen test on this notebook. I believe this was one of their older notebooks because the paper quality was actually really good on this one. I did use fountain pen inks on this moleskin and I didn't experience any problems as far as bleed through or feathering was concerned. You do see some ghosting just because this is thin paper, but look at that. There's no bleed through. I didn't have any problems at all with fountain pens on this notebook. I really wish that they would improve their paper quality. From what I heard, they're upping the quality of their paper again. So fingers crossed, because I don't want to have to move out of moleskin notebooks. I really like the size. So after July, I jumped back into this notebook because I still had plenty of pages on it left. If you take a look closely on the sides of my notebook, you'll see that I have these little washi tape markers here. Anytime I start a new month, I always do a title page and mark that page with washi tape. And that's how you can tell how fast I've filled up a notebook. So again, this had plenty of pages left when I jumped out of it for One Book July. So I decided to just finish out this page and I was so ready to move on. I didn't really like this size. I much preferred the moleskin size. A taller notebook, I guess, or the A6 size, so smaller than this, more portable. I don't know, I just didn't enjoy the B6 size for whatever reason. It could just be the notebook also, because I was really not in love with the Designworks ink notebooks. I know that B6 Stylogy is a very popular notebook, so maybe I'll give that a try one of these days, and then I could potentially change my mind on the B6 notebook size. But for now, I'm exploring other sizes and seeing how I feel about those. So after I filled up my last Designworks ink notebook, I was finally able to move on to something else. I remember being so happy and relieved to have finished this notebook because I was not having a great time with it. So after this notebook, I moved on to a Muji notebook that I cut down to fit a standard size traveler's notebook. And I really enjoyed this journal as well. The paper is very smooth and it's also on the thinner side. It's not the most fountain pen friendly paper that I've encountered, so there is some bleed through on this one. But I really enjoyed my time with this journal because of the smooth paper. I really like having smooth paper with my fountain pens. I find that it makes the act of writing a lot more fun for me. Although I think this was around the time that I kind of burnt out on fountain pens, so for a while I was journaling with just a gel pen. And this was the gel pen that I used mainly, the Pilot Precise V5 RT. This is the 0.5 millimeter tip. I also used gel pens on some of my spreads on my One Book July bullet journal, just because I don't have a very expansive ink collection. I am slowly building up my ink collection now, but back then I only had a handful of colors. So if I wanted to try a certain color, I would have to use my gel pens because I don't have a fountain pen ink for that. So back to this journal. I think halfway through I went back to using gel pens just to keep things simple. I don't know, I was just kind of burning out. I remember finishing out my TWSBI Eco and thinking, oh great, I have to flush this. And I just felt so unmotivated about it. So I took that as a sign to me that maybe I need a break. And I'm so glad I took that break because when I decided to pick up a couple of fountain pens for Black Friday, I felt really, really excited about it. As you can see, I have 3 ink pens now. I'm just feeling really inspired and excited to use my fountain pens again. So if you ever feel burnt out about your pens or your journals or whatever, don't be afraid to take a break. Just give yourself some mental space and you'll find your passion for these hobbies again. Okay, so back to the Muji notebook. Not a lot of art journaling on this one. I think I was quite busy in the period that I was in this journal because I remember just feeling really tired and only wanting to write a few lines here and there. This notebook took me a bit longer to complete just because it is a bit on the thicker side and I wasn't writing as much. But I did eventually finish it. Then I moved on to a thinner standard size notebook. I started this I haven't decorated the front yet, but I started this in November 15th. And I wasn't sure back in November if I was going to be able to finish a thick notebook just because I wasn't journaling as much. But as you can see, I did manage to fill this one up fairly quickly. I decided to get back into art journaling again. So here you'll see I just added a quote that I printed out. I started collaging again, so I really like this spread. And here's the companion spread. This one was really cute. And yeah, using this insert just made me really inspired to journal again. I went through this one pretty quickly. And this is just a free insert that you would get from AliExpress. When you order a traveler's notebook, they usually throw in a couple of free inserts in there. So this is what that is. I decided to just try to go through those free inserts for now because I have so many of them and I really do need to go through all of my blank notebooks. And I actually do like the paper quality of this insert. It's surprisingly good. It's quite thick. I'm not typically a fan of thick paper, but I've gotten used to this. It handles fountain pens pretty well. There is some ghosting, but this isn't bad at all. So once I finished this insert, I started a new one and haven't decorated the cover yet. I'm about to finish this insert also. These are all the pages that I have left. I probably have a week in this journal, a little over a week. I know there's only a few weeks left in December, but I'm gonna go ahead and start a new insert after this, and then hopefully I can finish that, and if not, then I'll just fill it up in January 2021. So here is my current journal. This traveler's notebook is from AliExpress. It's from a small store that I discovered recently. I will link it down below, but I'm really impressed with this leather. You do get a front pocket in this traveler's notebook, and then the inside layout is similar to the Giglio Giramondo. So you get the card slots on the left side with the full height pocket, and then in the back you get the secretarial pocket. My setup for my traveler's notebook hasn't changed. I simply took out my inserts and then transferred it into a different traveler's notebook. And then as far as my B6 journal covers were concerned, I had a cork B6 cover that unfortunately I didn't like. The quality wasn't that great. It was very poorly cut, so I decided not to promote that shop here on my channel. If you're looking for a cork cover, I recommend Dacasca. I have a video about her. I'll link it down below. I really loved her cover. And then I also had a chic Sparrow B6 in their Mockingbird leather, but I decided to sell that, and this is the only B6 cover that I have left. This is the Printpression TN cover. It can also fit the B6 notebook here on the side, so you can also use it as a folio. And I really do like this TN. It's such a pretty metallic blue. It's not leather, but it still gives me a lot of joy because it's just so sparkly and beautiful. As far as my future plans for journaling, once I finish this insert that I have in here, again, I will be using another traveler's notebook insert just because they're thinner and I can fill them up faster. I would really rather not have to stay in this notebook for the new year because I'm the type of person who likes to contain everything into 1 year. So ideally, I would finish out this notebook and then jump into a completely new notebook for January 2021. But if that's not possible, maybe if I only have a couple of pages filled up in this insert, I guess I'm just going to have to stay on this one because I don't want to waste an entire insert. I will be filling up this insert, whatever happens. And then after that, I want to try something completely new to me. I want to try journaling in an A5 notebook. Now, I know that A5 is a very common size, but I don't actually like A5 notebooks that much. I prefer Moleskines because they're slimmer than an A5, and to me that makes a huge difference. If I were to open up this A5 notebook, this is a Leuchtturm 1917 notebook, by the way. If I were to open this up, this to me is just a lot of paper, and it's really intimidating to look at. For me, I've never journaled in a size this big before, so I don't really know what to expect. I will probably be doing a lot of art journaling in this notebook just because I have all of this space to be creative in. But yeah, compared to the Moleskine notebook, even though the Moleskine isn't that much slimmer, I think it makes a huge difference as far as writing space goes. Looking at the Moleskine spread, this to me looks fine. This is okay, but this is just huge. This is a lot of paper. So I think I'm going to be challenging myself to go through this notebook for 2021, and I don't anticipate filling this up quickly. I'm probably going to be in this for at least a couple of months. I did already start pen testing the back of this notebook just to break it in and make myself commit to this notebook. And so far I do like the paper. It's not as smooth as the Japanese notebooks tend to be, but so far, so good. I don't hate it, so there's that. I will most likely have more to say about this once I start journaling in it. So that is my challenge for myself next year, start journaling in an A5 notebook. So that was my entire video on journals. I know this was a little ramblier than usual. If you're still here, thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you continue to follow my journal journey into the next year. This is Baba Notes, and I will see you next time. Bye!